Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the podcast. I am your host, Jimmy Good, and joining me once again, my friend, my nerd at arms, coming to us live from Castle Lang. I like saying that. Is Corey Lang. Corey, how are you?
Doing well. Thanks for having me, Jimmy.
Oh, I love it. We had so much fun talking about Gray Man and Nope, and I'm like, we're going to keep hanging out if it's cool with you, because this is something you brought to my attention, and I knew it was going to be a thing, but we have to talk a little bit about it. We're talking about Marvel Phase 5, the docket they have presented so far. Things are subject to change. Things get bumped, changed. Maybe there's a few hidden things on this list that we don't know about, which is my favorite thing to theorize about. But we wanted to go through it today because Phase 4 is ending after Wakanda Forever, Black Panther 2. And then we're moving into Phase 5 and then eventually Phase 6. And who the heck knows where it's going to go next. But yeah, so I don't know, Corey, do you want to start with Black Panther briefly while we get into Phase 5? How do you feel about that? Did you see the trailer?
I did. It looks amazing.
Yeah, looks beautiful.
The big bold word though is Wakanda, right? Black Panther has been kind of pushed up to the top in shorter, rest in peace Chadwick. It's, obviously we're still kind of not even, I don't know if we'll ever recover from the death of him. Great actor.
Yeah,
awesome.
Really good.
Fantastic. That first Black Panther movie. Love it. I have a t-shirt in my closet with him on it. So,
oh, wow.
But we'll get to Spider-Man. So anyway.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yes, this looks great. It's very much the Wakanda community, right?
Mm-hmm.
Less of a focus on the one individual Black Panther, but you do see the claws at the end of the trailer.
Yeah.
So that's curious as well. So I'm excited, man. I'm all in.
Yeah, and the big bad for this one, Namor, finally coming over here, which last I had checked, maybe this has changed, but back in the day, Hulk and Namor were Universal only. So it was one of those things where I was like, oh, interesting. So Namor is going to be in here. If it was a standalone film, it would have to be Universal, but I guess they could do it. Anyway, I'm of two minds, Corey, because I think this looks fantastic, and I'm looking forward to it either way. However, I see both sides of the whole, like, recasting Black Panther or not recasting Black Panther or whatever else. So I'm just so curious because I feel like no matter what they do with it, someone's going to be a little frustrated. But I'm just excited because I like the first one. I'm excited to see the sequel, and I'm excited to see where they go with it next, which leads us into the kickoff, Quantumania. I feel like that word was never Googled before, and now it's being Googled constantly.
Quantumania.
Quantumania. Yeah. Where do you land on Ant-Man and the Wasp, or Ant-Man films in general?
I like them a lot. They're smaller and a little more digestible.
Mm-hmm.
It's not always about like the end of the world with these big, heavy, like ginormous, like mega Avengers movies. So I always appreciated to fall back on Ant-Man, and I love Paul Rudd, obviously.
Me too.
Am I going to lose sleep if I don't get to see this? No, but I'm interested. I'm curious. I'm curious to see what they're going to do with Quantumania for sure. How about you?
Yeah, I am interested just because I know Kang is going to be in it, and Kang has been someone that we've seen, spoilers, at the end of Loki, and is going to be maybe like the next big bad, leading into eventually this Kang Dynasty stuff that we're getting down the line. So I think it'll lead into that well. I actually really liked Ant-Man and the Wasp. I thought it was really fun and light, and I appreciate that in Marvel in general. I'm just like, hey, that's fine. I'm okay with it, not everything having to be world-ending, crazy time. Yeah, I'll probably be there for that one. And Paul Rudd, the beginning of Ant-Man and the Wasp, Corey, where it's him just dancing around his house for like a few minutes.
So good.
I sadly could watch that for an hour and a half. I was like, I can watch him doing this. This is fun time. He's having a good time. Yeah. The thing is with leading into Kang, the Kang Dynasty, and then some of these massive events like that, and then also a Secret Invasion television show on Disney Plus, because a lot of this stuff is like either it's going to be a movie or it's going to be on Disney Plus. It's kind of one or the other here. I know a little bit about Secret Invasion. We're talking Skrulls here. We're talking them getting to Earth and making it theirs. last we'd seen of the Skrulls, though, for the most part, they've kind of good guys. So I'm not really sure what's going to happen here. Maybe they have a little bit of a falling out with the humans and they turn evil, or are we leading into eventually Super Skrulls, which I love to see. I don't know if we're going to see that, but very possibly, which is like an alien that they get a bunch of different powers from different characters. The most famous one having the powers of the Fantastic Four. Corey, where do you land on Skrulls? That's my next question for you.
The only thing I remember about Skrulls was when that first Avengers movie came out in like 2012, and you saw them in the trailers, and it was like, nope, those aren't Skrulls because that belongs to Sony.
Yeah, exactly.
Or something like that. So it turned out that they weren't Skrulls, but now they are correct officially Skrulls.
Yes.
Am I right on that?
Yeah. So Skrulls were Fox, and the Chitauri were the aliens in the Avengers. So yes. Yeah, I'm curious to see that show. It sounds like Colby Smulder is coming back to play Maria Hill, and we'll be in that show with a bunch of other people.
Nick Fury's back, Sam Jackson.
I'm curious to see where that show is going to go. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, curious to me.
Yeah, it's not one of the top ones that's on my radar. And I'm not fully caught up. Like, I need to go back. I need to finish Loki and I need to finish Hawkeye, but I'm waiting for Christmas to return to finish Hawkeye.
That's smart. So, thank you. Good.
Yeah.
Well, okay. Yeah. You brought up Spider-Man earlier. I know we're kind of jumping around a little bit, but like for these things, for what we're getting here, is there anything that does jump out to you that you're like, I will see that, I will watch whatever that is, no matter what?
Yeah, I'm really excited about Daredevil Born Again.
I'm so curious, man. I'm so curious.
I think it was really smart to bring back Charlie Cox.
Oh, he's perfect.
The fans wanted it. I'm glad that Netflix and Disney figured that out. However they figured that out, whatever the case is, Vincent D'Onofrio as the Kingpin is amazing, and I loved those 2 seasons of that show, and it was sad when it went away. 2 seasons, or was it 3?
3.
It was 3. It was 3. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And so, but Jimmy, I can't wait for Blade.
Dude, is it PG-13 Blade? That's the question, right? Like, didn't they talk about this a while ago? I don't know. I want to see Blade too, man. I'm there.
Yeah, but PG-13, man, we just got done talking about the Gray Man, and that. Yeah. To say it again, Stabby McStabby.
Stabby McStabby, baby. Slash him in half.
And I love those Wesley Snipes movies. I think we have a lot to thank for that first Blade movie, right?
Oh,
I think
so much.
That opens so many doors, and I'm excited they're bringing that character back, and I can't wait to see what they do with that character.
Yeah, I'm totally there with you. I'll be seeing that, I think, no matter what, because I'm curious to see. I thought for sure they were going to introduce vampires in Multiverse of Madness, but
me too.
We'll see. That's all right. They're giving them their own time to shine, or not shine, because vampires do not like shining unless they're Twilight vampires. They announced a few other things too that I don't know. Like, I think will be interesting to see pop up. But like for me, Corey, I was where's Ghost Rider, man? You know what I mean? Like, I just
Did you hear Ryan Gosling came out and said he wants to play Ghost Rider?
How am I supposed to compete with Ryan Gosling? Oh my gosh, he would be great. He would be really good.
And then, is it Kevin Feige? Oh,
Feige.
Feige, thank you. He responded and said oh, well, I don't know about that, but we'll find a place for him. We would very much like Ryan Gosling in the MCU. It was very much like a scripted corporate response. Sure. But I think he was out doing press for the Gray Man. Not to derail our podcast here, but
that's fine.
I just read that yesterday, and I was going to send it to you, but I'm like, I will wait for the podcast. But
that's fine.
Fine. You might still be okay.
Oh, I didn't want to say anything because that was a little bit of my acting right there. But actually, Kevin and I have been talking, and that's the reason I said Ryan, and he's like, no, Jimmy, you're the guy, and I was like, thank you. Thank you. I was like, don't make me judge you, because I will. Penance stare, baby. But yeah, it's curious to me because there's a lot coming, but it still seems like we are setting up. And another thing missing too, X-Men and Fantastic Four. I feel like that's maybe they're still waiting, baking that in. Maybe those are secret things that we're not seeing on this timeline yet. But I would be really surprised to not see them within the next 3 or 4 years. Even though this one doesn't go super far into phase 4 or 5.
So I'm on Marvel's official page. Did I lose you? Are you still there?
No, I'm still here. Hello.
Okay. They set a date for Fantastic Four, November 8th, 2024.
Oh, okay. Cool.
Mm-hmm.
Excellent.
So I think that ends phase.
So many phases.
Yeah, but we'll get into Thunderbolts, I would assume. But anyways, they do have a date for Fantastic Four. Sorry, but no X-Men. You're right. Sure. No X-Men. Sadly.
We need it.
I know.
Apparently, they've been teasing it in one of the Marvel shows recently. So I was like, okay. Yeah. So it's like,
but we are getting. I'm sorry for the audio listeners. I got to pull one more prop.
Show it off. Yes. Wolverine, baby.
We are getting more animated series.
Yes.
So that is the one other thing I'm very excited about, but we have to wait a whole nother year for that. So.
Sure. So, okay, Corey, you're talking about the animated, return of X-Men 97, right? Is it called? It's X-Men 97, right?
Yeah, and they announced this like a year ago. So. Right? Am I crazy?
I think so. It was a while back, I think.
Yeah, so it was weird for them to like re-announce it.
Yeah.
It's I think that it's like, hey, reminder, we're doing this thing that you loved in the 90s. We're still working on it, but it's like really, you don't have like a still shot or like a short trailer, nothing. So X-Men 97 is the follow-up to the beloved X-Men animated series in the 90s. It's coming out a year from now. Sure. So
yeah, maybe they just wanted to have X-Men on that board or to talk about something X-Men related without showing a brand new X-Men, which Corey, I gave it to him. It's so, for anybody who's ever watched it's Hulk versus Wolverine. This is how you start the X-Men. You just introduce Wolverine by himself hunting down the Hulk. I don't know how that works in the MCU with Smart Hulk or Professor Hulk, but that's how you do it. Just one. You don't need 20 or 10 new X-Men. You know what I mean? You just start with Wolvie, because that's the one we got to get. He has to, they all need to be, but especially Wolverine, because he's going to be in 30 films. So we got to make sure he's good to go. Last I'd heard, I know I like to spread rumors, but last I'd heard was Taron Egerton maybe was being considered for Wolverine, maybe.
Which, after watching Blackbird, which is his new prison drama on Apple,
mm-hmm.
I'm all in on that idea. That's a great idea. They should do that.
Yeah.
I'm a fan of his, and he's got the physique, and I think he's a great actor. Dude, they should do that.
Yeah, I would like to see that. I would just like to see there's Wolverine. I'm putting my vote still in for not very good looking, very gross looking Wolverine, who is hunched over and is 5'4" and is hi bub, that's what I want to see. Hugh Jackman was fantastic, but the guy's a supermodel. He's so gorgeous. He's, by the way, he's old fashioned, triple threat. He's a singer, dancer, actor, man. Just watch any musical he's in. You're oh my gosh.
We still have the Insomniac game coming, so maybe you'll get your wish there.
Dude, and if they could look at that X-Men Origins Wolverine tie-in game, that's really what I want as far as the gore. I just want to be ripping through things. Such a good game. Anyway, but yeah, and then a few other things to kind of talk about briefly. Ironheart will be coming out as a television show on Disney Plus as well. Basically, a young woman taking up the mantle of Iron Man after. Is there anyone who didn't see Endgame? I think my mom, maybe.
Dude, spoil it. Go for it.
After Tony is no longer with us, sort of, kind of. And I was okay, that'll be interesting. And then Echo, which is a kind of spin-off of the Hawkeye series, focusing on one of the kind of secondary antagonists from that show. That's Corey. Once this Christmas comes around, you'll be oh, I know who Echo is now. And then you can watch that if you want to. But yeah, I think I'm kind of with you though. When talking about that, I think of Kingpin, and I will never forget watching, I think it's season 2 of Daredevil, when Punisher goes to prison and you find out Kingpin's in there. I remember I was staying at a house I was house sitting, and I saw Vincent D'Onofrio show up, and I like stood up with my arms in the air, and I was like, Kingpin! I was like, ah! It's like, because he's just so good.
It's perfect. Yep.
I love him.
Yeah,
I love him so
too.
much. But yeah, so we kind of talked about the biggest things to come from that. But also, I did want to mention this because you are wearing an amazing Spider-Man shirt. There's some Spidey news that was not necessarily part of the Marvel Studios announcements so much. But what is that, Corey? Because it seems like you got an in here. And by in, I mean a love for it, like I do.
Yeah, so they're doing a new Spider-Man animated series, freshman year. Could be cool. The thing that always makes me cringe when I think of like origin stories is just, gosh, do we really need another Spider-Man origin story? Like, come on, do we really need that?
Sure.
But we'll see. We'll see how that shakes out. Yeah, I guess I don't have a lot to say on that. My nostalgic love comes from that X-Men animated series.
Yeah.
I never really got into, I love the Spider-Man comics. I never really got into like the animated series in the 90s.
Okay.
Leading up to the 2000s. I know you and I were talking about the one from, was it 2006 that you really love?
Spectacular Spider-Man on Netflix. The best one. Please watch it, everybody. Thank you.
Spectacular Spider-Man. So I'm definitely going to check that out. So this freshman year, this is something I'm not really interested in.
Okay.
Maybe I'll check it out. We'll see. I was talking to my wife about how oversaturated Marvel and Star Wars have become. And, 10 years ago, you just inhaled everything that you possibly could, right?
Yeah.
Because it was all so exciting. But now it's like, I don't know. Do I really need to watch Loki? I mean, it's like,
yeah.
That's kind of where we're at. That's where I'm at, and post Endgame, my excitement levels kind of fell on, maybe actually post Far From Home.
Okay.
Just to bring it back around for Spider-Man, where I'm at with the MCU, I think Far From Home was tremendous. I loved Jake Gyllenhaal as Mysterio. And ever since, it's just like, I wasn't super thrilled with Doctor Strange 2. All this multiverse stuff kind of freaks me out. I'm not super into it. Thor is what it is. They've made a comedy. So it's like, I don't know if they've like, the mighty have fallen. I don't think I'd go that far, but I'm a little worried. I don't know where you're at, where your current, not to derail the podcast into this deeper discussion.
No, it's fine. I love it.
Current state of MCU, but they made a lot of announcements, right? And they announced 2 big new Avengers movies and no X-Men, right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, what are you guys doing? I'm excited about Blade. I'm excited about Fantastic Four. There's a lot to be excited about, but there's also a lot, right? I'm scratching my head going, what are you guys doing? I don't really care about an origin Spider-Man series, right? Yeah. So that, that's kind of where I'm at overall with all of this stuff.
Sure.
I don't know about you, and I know we probably have a couple more things to talk about here, but bring it back to a kind of a general, you haven't even seen Thor, right?
Not yet. I want to at some point, but I think it might be a Disney Plus thing because I like.
See,
it's not. No offense to them. No, I'm sure it'll be good. I think Ragnarok is a good film, but I knew that this was going to be like another Ragnarok, more or less. So I kind of knew what to expect, and I was like, that's okay if I catch it at home, just because I don't go to the theaters a ton, and when I do go, it can be a little expensive. And it's one of those things, a little bit of a commitment. I will say this, though, like a lot of these movies that are made this way are meant to be seen in a theater. And if anybody wants to go see them, I think the best way to see them really is that way. So maybe I'm doing myself a disservice in the long run if I watch it at home. But it's just one of those things that kind of was like, man, there's other movies I want to see in theaters that I still haven't seen yet. And I'm like, oh gosh, like they start to like pile up, and then I start to feel bad when it shouldn't be that way. Like they serve me. I don't serve them. At least not yet.
Right.
So,
yeah. To your point, Disney Plus, it changed a lot, right?
Yeah, man.
10 years ago, you wouldn't have hesitated to go see Thor. You would just,
No.
It's just it's just something you do, you know.
Mhm.
You're so, yeah, I don't know if that's a bummer. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
This phase 5 and 6. I just heard today that the big rumor is the Shang-Chi director is going to do the Kang Dynasty movies. I don't know
Okay.
if that's true or not, but sounds
Sure.
like that's the case.
Okay.
Um,
That'd be interesting.
yeah. The last thing I'll say on that is I'm familiar with Kang, but I didn't finish Loki, so I haven't seen that introduction.
Okay. Yeah, it's
So
kind of nebulous. Believe it or not, some intelligent, good-looking, forward-thinking individual many years ago made a video about the top 5 villains that were coming to the MCU, and guess what? I have been right every single time. I'm just still waiting for Onslaught, which is a little bit of a reach, but still,
Yeah.
I was like, Kang's coming, and yeah, I'm looking forward. I'm interested in that, and you know what I'm thinking, Corey? I'm thinking you do the Kang stuff, and you do, like, maybe this stuff's been in the pipeline for a while, and they want to do and have all these characters have their moments because they know that no matter what, at any point, if they put out an X-Men film or a Fantastic Four film, people will run out and see it no matter what, because we haven't had that for a while, or kind of the classic style, especially Fantastic Four, which we kind of had a tease in Multiverse of Madness, and then the last one was the Josh Trank one, which was kind of divisive. And then like people, I don't know, and then also like Chris Evans' heritage with superheroes being in those old Fantastic Four movies. But then the X-Men thing, I just feel like X-Men can come out anytime. It'll do really well. So maybe they're saving that for like later in phase 5 or phase 6 or wherever to be like, hey, guess what? X-Men's here. And they'll be like, all right, people are like, thank you. Like, show me.
They don't want to
X-Men.
screw it up, you know.
Oh yeah, they're taking their time with it, which is,
Yeah.
I think, is really smart, because I'm
Yeah.
kind of curious, because Feige talked about this a while ago, like kind of reestablishing a major threat, and maybe that's what he's doing. Is he's like, all right, we're kind of doing these things that seem kind of disparate right now, and there are all these threads kind of off to the sides that don't interconnect, but maybe he's been working to like make Fantastic Four, X-Men, and some of these other properties come back and coalesce together to something that's really meaningful. Because I think the biggest problem they have right now is they do need to take that multiverse and like put it back to the one timeline, because you want those stakes to matter,
Right.
and you can't have that if you're just like, yeah, just pull another Iron Man out of that dimension.
Yeah, to be clear, I still think they're doing a really good job. I think everything they've done is really well thought out. I mean, no, you're not going to be able to top the Endgame era with Downey and Chris Evans, and you know, like, it's just, let's face it. But maybe that opportunity is X-Men when the time is right.
Yeah. Get the Russos back.
Yeah. Yes. I mean, you're talking about Magneto and Wolverine, and even Fantastic Four. You're talking about Doctor Doom. These are big, heavy-hitting characters. Galactus, and you know, there's exciting things coming. I'm just a little concerned, and the word multiverse just it freaks me out.
Sure.
So yeah, I'm still a fan. I still love it. I can't wait to see what they do. I thought Thor was very fun. And so what's next? Black Panther, right?
Well, the next thing technically would be She-Hulk, which is coming up in a few weeks.
Right.
Yes. So I'm curious to see that one as a Hulk fan. I will say this, though. My favorite version of the Hulk was probably Age of Ultron, where he goes absolutely insane. And I really want that Hulk back. I've seen joking like logos of people putting up World War Hulk. I don't know how you could get to that. I don't care how they get to it, Corey. I just want World War Hulk so badly, because I just want to see everybody try to fight the Hulk.
Be amazing.
Like
amazing.
And not that every movie and television show needs to follow the comics exactly. You don't, because clearly they're not going to. And say what you will about a lot of the Marvel stuff, but it's been consistently delivering things for so long, and we're just spoiled for choice now, I think is one of the problems. And you know, they're always like a lighthearted thing. They usually a pretty good message in there. I don't know. I want the Hulk though, Corey. Give me the Hulk back, please. Let Ghost Rider fight the Hulk. Except in World War Hulk, Ghost Rider decides not to fight the Hulk. It's a great moment. Sorry, I see that. Sorry.
With ya.
But there are a few cool things here in this next phase, and I'm so curious to know like where everybody's at with all this, because there's so much. And like you said so many years ago, like think back to the first Iron Man when we had Iron Man and then Hulk, which came out like right next to each other, Incredible Hulk, and like Captain America and Thor. That's like all we had, right? And like now it's just like, look at this, like there's so many things. Like I never thought a She-Hulk show was gonna be made. Like, you know, even 5 years ago I'd have been like, you're making a She-Hulk show, you know, like anything is possible. Anything is possible. And that's kind of cool, honestly, because they could, you know, do whatever they want. Like each X-Men character, Corey, could have their own television show. Like that, sure. That is the possibility we're living in now, for better or worse. But yeah, I'm just really curious. It's that I'm still waiting for X-Men and Fantastic Four though, because especially Magneto, because I am an Ian McKellen guy through and through. Yeah. But I would love to see what they do with Magneto. Oh my gosh. And Charles, for that matter. Yeah. Because I don't think it's going to be Patrick Stewart.
Right?
Yeah.
I just want a good Cyclops. Just give it to me.
I really like Cyclops too. I want that's one of those things people would ask me. They'd be like, Jimmy, like, if you could be a superhero. I was like, I think I could kind of have the look of Cyclops. I don't know if I'm like that pure leader guy like he is, but what they do need to make him more likable, because they made him such a foil to Wolverine. Yeah. And I like James Marsden a lot, and he's very likable. But the stuff they gave him in those old ones was like, you're like the jerk boyfriend that nobody likes. And it was like, Cyclops is cooler than that, though. Like,
oh, man. I know.
But anything else you want to say about this new slate of things coming out? Because it sounds like, is there another thing or two that you wanted to bring up, or did we cover most all of it?
Well, I was just kind of looking through it. I think we pretty much covered everything. I'm curious about She-Hulk. I always like that character. I don't think the trailers look all that great. The animation looks a little weird to me. But we'll see, right? We'll see.
Yeah, I'm curious.
Thunderbolts, I don't know much about. I'll have to look into that.
Okay, thank you for bringing that up, Corey. Thunderbolts, this is something that hits a little bit close to home, all right?
Okay.
Thunderbolts, and I could be completely wrong about this, so people please correct me, but from my understanding, Corey, back in the past, used to kind of be Marvel's answer in a way to the Suicide Squad. Where you had a government-funded team, villains, so on and so forth. However, right now, the ones we have so far are... U.S. Agent, the guy, like the bad guy from Falcon and Winter Soldier, and then you've got I can't think of her name right now. Black Widow's sister.
Miss
Pugh, she's a great actress. I really like her. And then also Bucky Barnes, who's gonna be in there. So kind of like a clandestine team. What I was looking for, though, Corey, is the way I was introduced to them was through Marvel Ultimate Alliance 2, where you had Green Goblin as one of the Thunderbolts, and then Mac Gargan, Scorpion, but he had the Venom symbiote on him.
Cool.
And I want more characters like that. I like it when these like government teams of villains are like the weirdest things. Like that's why I like King Shark on Suicide Squad, because you're like, he's part of the government funded team. Yeah. So I'm hoping that they do more of that. The problem is you can't really introduce like a Green Goblin at this stage. That would be super weird. Like he's here.
Especially with the William Dafoe stuff and No Way Home or
exactly. Yeah. So we'll probably get a few more villains on that list, but I don't know if any of them will be like super weird and out there, if they're all just going to be relatively human. I don't know if Zemo might be in part of this as well. But yeah, so I just love a team like that, because like it's a Dirty Dozen situation, or just like these guys, they'll do the thing, but they'll also turn on you the first second they get, or each other. So I'm curious to see Thunderbolts. I really am, but I wanted a weirder team. But hey, if it does well enough, go on, and you can get those characters in eventually. You know what I mean? Right. Because some of those would be really cool to see. So here's hoping.
Here's hoping. And then the very final one that I don't have a whole lot to say, that we can just touch on real briefly, is Captain America New World Order with Anthony Mackie as Captain America. So
yes. And that's going to be a movie or a show?
Let's see. Just announced in All Age, Marvel Studios Captain America New World Order in theaters May 3rd, 2024.
This is interesting because we've seen that character start off in Winter Soldier and then Civil War and then obviously the other Avengers films, but then a television show, and now back into a 2.5 hour film. I'm really curious. Yeah, New World Order. I wonder if that what that's gonna have to do with.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a lot, man. It's a lot. I mean, you got Guardians 3, Loki season 2. We already talked about Echo, Ironheart, and then Agatha, Coven of Chaos.
Oh yes, a breakout star from that, from WandaVision, Agatha Harkness.
Oh, right.
Yes, the villain from that show, who was really fun and interesting. I'm just really curious about that show. We kind of glossed over it. Guardians 3, though, back in the books.
Yeah, Guardians 3. Yeah.
I'm sure that'll be a slamming.
I'm sure.
James Gunn's back, you know.
Yeah. Again, it's you know, I'm excited, but I'm less excited because it's like characters that we've seen for so long, and
sure,
you know, obviously I care about the fate of those characters and I still enjoy those movies, but you know, when I look at this, I think of it as like an Excel spreadsheet, and I'm going down the list. I'm looking at all the announcements. I'm checking the boxes, right?
Yeah, there's a lot.
I'm like, all right, I'm done with this one. I'm done with that. I'm done with this, right? And you know, and then I'm sorting them by category. And when I really break it down, again, at the end of the day, for me, I'm looking at Fantastic Four, I'm looking at Blade, and I'm looking at Daredevil.
Sure.
Those are the three for me personally, just to kind of put a ribbon on this thing from my perspective. Those are the three projects that I'd be the most excited. You know, the Kang Dynasty Avengers stuff, and then we didn't even get into Secret Wars. By the way, both of those Avengers movies come out in the same freaking year. Like, okay, but anyways,
I'm curious. I'm wondering about that. I'm like, we'll see.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Yeah,
like,
one's in May, one's in November.
Okay.
Secret Wars is the last, I believe. I could be wrong. But...
Is Secret Wars where we finally get symbiote black suit Spider-Man?
I think so.
I think that's what it is.
He's on the cover of that comic, so he's got to be.
Yeah.
Do I have that comic nearby? No, I don't. But
that's got to happen, right? That's the only thing I know from Secret Wars. And I also knew that Secret and Wars were like the two big like words back in the day when they did like a poll. So Marvel's like, just put them together. It's Marvel's Secret Wars. And it's like, okay.
Right. But not to play props again for the audio listeners, but I want Fantastic Four. I want Doctor Doom, and I want. This is the holograph for the audio listeners. X-Men.
So cool.
So yeah, that's what's got me excited. And if they really want to with Daredevil, they could bring back Punisher. That would be cool. So sorry, enough props for me. But
no, I love it. I love it. That's great, man.
Yeah. That's all the juice I got, man. I'm still a big Marvel fan. I'm concerned. I'm excited. It's a weird time.
Yeah.
We'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, I always try to be optimistic about it because Marvel kind of like they took these B-tier characters that in the comics wise and just made them such household names, and just I remember seeing that first Iron Man and being like, wow, like, and then Captain America, First Avenger and stuff like that. So like and obviously those are Paramount things, I think, or at least Captain America was. I forget what Iron Man was, but I just, man, I really love the MCU. I really do. And I'm curious to see where they go with all of it, because if I can get a Doctor Doom television show,
I'd
be stoked, man.
Amazing.
Like, if they could frame the Fantastic Four as villains to Doctor Doom and then drop a Fantastic Four movie, everyone would be cheering for Doom.
Yeah.
That'd be so great. I just feel like there's infinite possibilities still.
My only final concern with Black Panther, my bad, is the Namor and all of the underwater action sequences with a Aquaman sequel coming and a Shazam sequel that features some Aquaman stuff.
Oh, really?
That looks from the trailer. So it's like, are we going to have too much? And then we have an Avatar sequel.
I was going to say, yep. Mm-hmm.
So, like, we're having, like, at least 2 or 3 movies that feature underwater civilization / action sequences. Mm-hmm. And I just wonder if that is, I'm trying to think how I could put my words. Like, is it gonna present scenarios where it might be forgettable?
Sure. Yeah. Well, and you're forgetting the Star Wars show they just announced too. Did you hear that? Secret of the Gungans?
No. Was that a Comic-Con?
Yeah, it's a Comic-Con. It's huge. Sorry, I can't do it. No, that's a lie. I couldn't do it.
What?
Secret of the Gungans. Jar Jar is back.
Like, what? Oh my gosh.
God.
You really got me there.
Yes, I did it. No, you're totally right. I was thinking that too. That's a good point.
Funny.
That's a good point, man. I wonder if there'll be those videos to be like, all right, who did Underwater the best? Because I'll be honest with you, Aquaman, I really liked that movie, and they went crazy with their underwater stuff. So I don't know. Like,
it's gonna be. We're gonna look back and like, oh, remember that year that like everybody did underwater movies?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, like that's what concerns me. However, I think Black Panther is probably the most exciting project out of Avatar 2, Aquaman 2, and Black Panther. That's just me personally.
Yeah.
Look, man, I love Avatar. Like, I am not a hater. Like, it's a fun theme park. It's a fun movie.
Mm-hmm.
I love James Cameron, but out of those 3 movies, I think Black Panther is the most exciting to me personally.
Yeah. Yeah.
But Aquaman 2, that's for another show. We'll do a DC show.
Dude, yeah.
And we'll go through all of that.
Oh my gosh, yes. Yeah, I'm curious. I'm just so curious about all this stuff because I feel like there's still stuff that Marvel hasn't told us because that's kind of how they do it. And 2 Avengers films in the same year. We haven't seen an Avengers film for a little bit now, which is funny because it's been only 3 years, but still it feels like a long time.
It'll be 6 years by the time this comes out.
Wow. And Secret Wars, if I'm correct, isn't that one where they kind of get pitted against each other or something? There's like a fight. I don't know.
I'm from a visual standpoint, I'm really only familiar with the cover art.
Okay,
like,
cool.
I can picture that comic's got the black Spider-Man suit.
Yeah.
And I can see the logo, but I know nothing about that book or story.
Okay. Well, we're going to be educated. It's like Civil War, though. It might be a lot of in name, but like the actual characters in it and the actual events are going to be different. So, or like Thor Ragnarok, pretty different than the Ragnarok that happened in the comics. So you never know. Either way, Corey, I could talk to you for hours about this, but we're going to limit it to this amount that we've done today. I hope everybody listening had a good time. Please leave down in the comments what you're most excited about, what you're looking forward to, and maybe the one thing that you wish that they would announce, like Punisher versus Hulk. Who will win? Is that ever a comic?
World War Hulk. That's what Jimmy wants.
That's all I really want. My joke was that the Punisher just shoots the Hulk in the head for like an hour and nothing happens, and the Hulk just attacks him.
Nice. I'd see that.
We almost had World War Hulk, Corey. We were this close. Sorry, yeah. I have Age of Ultron. I was so positive, man. I was like, he's going to space. Sorry. Anyway. But yes, Corey, thank you so much for being here, man. I appreciate you chatting with me about this, and I'll have to have you back sometime soon if you do want to talk about DC stuff.
I'd love that. Thanks for having me.
Cool. All right. Well, Corey, I'm going to say goodbye to you off air here, but everybody else I'm going to say goodbye to now. Thank you so much for everybody who's been listening here or via Spotify or iTunes. If you didn't notice, there's an audio version only. And if you're only listening to the audio version, there's actually a video version of it on YouTube. I'm trying to hit it all, baby. But I'd love your feedback and thoughts and all that stuff. I appreciate you guys so much. And a huge, huge final thank you to our patrons. Thank you. You guys don't have to do any of that, but I do appreciate it. Until next time, just remember to adapt and overcome. Bye-bye.